Hello, it's the Beginner Crafter. Welcome to another WIPTube. I'm sorry if the quality of the audio isn't the best, but I don't know where my microphone went, so I guess it's going to be a little worse. I'm going to show you today all the projects I've worked on. There is a new start, and in the end I'm going to unbox my yarn shopping, and I'll talk about the project that I want to make with it, and there are some other things in there. But let's start with this rug, the Amphirite mosaic crochet rug for me, and I finished the 4th repeat. It's about 1 meter long, so it's a little over a yard long, which is good, but I have only this much of the yarn left in both colors, so I don't know how much longer I can make it. I guess I'll just use the yarn more or less to the end. I want to save some for making the border around the rug, but I'll be honest, I don't know how much longer I can make this blanket. This yarn kind of surprised me with how little I have left. I thought I would have still a bit more, and I was hoping to get up to about 1.5 meters with the length, but I don't think I have 1/3 of the yarn left, so I guess it will be a little bit shorter, so we'll see what happens. I made quite good progress for me. Yes, I finished the 4th repeat, which is a nice threshold. I'll definitely be able to make the 5th one, possibly the 6th one as well, but I guess this will be a little bit more on the side of maybe. So we'll see how it goes, but well, at least looking at the yarn, I can see that I'm nearing the end, which is also always a nice thing when I know that soon I'll stop working on this because it will be finished, which is great. The yarns have changed color, both types. I think it's a little bit more visible on the green one still, even though the colors aren't really changing that much anymore, because even the outside is still greenish, but I think the hues are a little bit more visible, but this whitish color also gets a little bit more darker. It doesn't get fully black, but it's much more visible, and I do hope it's going to happen soon, because I prefer working the rows with the green yarn right now. I remember when I started, and at the beginning it was red and blue, and I love blue, so I loved working the blue color. So this is this kind of pattern color. But after the color has changed into this light grayish white, I much prefer working with the background color, and this time it's green. And now that both colors are a little bit darker, you can see the pattern much easier, because here it's very light, and I guess live you see it better, but it's still not very visible. But back there and also below, you can see the pattern really clearly. So that's the first project I've been working on. The second project is the knitting project, and this is Bloom Between the Lines, and I made a repeat of the pattern. Wait, this is not the right side up. No, this is the right side up. I'm not yet fully confident with knitting, so I don't always recognize which is the right side, which is the wrong side. Now with the second repeat, I think you can see really well the design things and the pattern inside, and I really love it. I have to say I love it. One thing I was not expecting is how pink this yarn is. Somehow I thought, and when I first saw it live, I thought it was a bit more lavender in color, but now it's pink, and it's called Parma Violet. It's called Parma Violet, so I was hoping for a bit more, yeah, lavender, lilac, something like that, but it's pink, at least compared to the blue here. I am after the first fuzz buzz, and for those who haven't worked with a whirl before, because it's usually in a whirl, in this kind of yarn, fuzz buzz is the place where two colors or shades are connecting, and in other yarns, for example in this one, you can just see the knot where another color is added. Here it's the sort of fuzz buzz where the yarn is a little bit thicker and it's fuzzy. But because this is an ombre color, I don't really see the change in the hue. So I know there was a fuzz buzz, I know it's a milestone, but I don't really see the difference between the two, because for now the color doesn't really change much, but later on you'll see it will be lighter and lighter all the time. So I'm excited for the fuzz buzz, so it means the progress, and of course making the second repeat is also a nice threshold for the future, and I only have 16 more repeats to go with the pattern, so there's still a lot in front of me. I guess you can see, because those holes are visible, where the stitch markers go. I don't know what to do to make them disappear. One of the things I bought, and I will be unboxing, is a different kind of stitch markers, which should be thinner. So I hope this will help. I'm guessing blocking at the end will help, but I don't know. I've never used stitch markers with knitting before, so I don't know what is supposed to happen, what's not supposed to happen. It doesn't bother me too much. I guess you can see the lines, so they cut in half some of the pattern, but it's not super big deal. I think a slightly bigger deal would be that this is supposed to be 1.5 meters, I think, according to the pattern, and it's clearly not. Or maybe no, 50 centimeters, I think. Yeah, so that's more like it, although I still don't think this is 50 centimeters. But I guess with blocking it will get there, or really close to there. So again, I'm not too worried about it. It's more of a project for me to learn, to practice knitting with some nice designs in it and patterns. But I'm not really a scarf or a wrap person, so I don't really wear them too much. But I hope it will go well enough that I can move on to other projects a bit more adventurous, a bit more advanced, and a bit more usable, because that would be great. Okay, and now cross-stitching. First, let's start with Mini Marvellous Garden, which I worked on quite a lot, and I made 1,270 stitches in it, and now I'm at 26,086 stitches, which is 48.26%, which is great because it looks like 50% is coming pretty quickly. I don't think it will be next time because I'm leaving for about a week and I'm traveling abroad in a coach. So I don't think I'll be able to take projects with me. I am thinking about taking Amphirite with me, because it's just the project, 2 small yarns, a crochet hook, and tablet with the pattern, and I'll take the tablet anyway. So this will not take too much space. I will be able to crochet while sitting in the coach, but I think that's it. This will be the only thing I would be able to work on. And I'm not sure I will do it. So I won't have too much time for doing the projects. So I don't think 50% of this will happen in the next 2 weeks. But it's close, so that's great. I've mostly worked on page number 4, but I did put a few stitches in page 2, even 1. And a little bit more on page 3. So that's great because there is less and less white happening. I know this is a post from a fence. This is what I remember from the pattern. You will see that, but I'm trying to think from memory. Somewhere here is another peacock, but I'm not sure if it's already this part because it's a little too brown for it to be a peacock, even though peacocks come in very different colors. I've even seen a fully white peacock, but this peacock is somewhat like the representative for me, what a peacock should look like, what colors it should have. So this doesn't really look too peacocky to me, but the shape of it kind of does. So I don't know. I'll see that a little bit later once I fill it out a little bit more, because in this area there's quite a lot of white still, which I do hope to fill soon enough. Then I've got Avarice, and I worked on Avarice a little bit more than on the peacock because I worked 1,285 stitches in it. And I'm at 19,833 in total, and that's 8.26%. So I'm over the 8% in total, which is great. I did work on those columns, like I said. This one is not fully until the end of the page, but it's not really a big problem. And I've cleaned up some of the yarns that I had in here and in there. This one is still there because I forgot to mark on my app that I parked it here. So I'm not really sure if this is the correct color. It looks like it, but I just need a bit better light just to compare it with the number that should go here and see if it's the same shade or if I just made a mistake. So that's why this one is still here and not worked. Other got worked a little bit, so it does look better. There's a lot of black thread coming here, so this will be, I think, the blackest of all the pages, although black also happens around here, so maybe not, but there will be a lot of black in here. So on the one hand, it's easy because you sometimes get full squares of black, so you don't have to worry about where to put the thread, but it is dark, so you can't always work with it all the time, because the eyes can get a little bit tired of looking. If it's some kind of specific place where you need to put it, or it's around those dark browns, then it's a bit more difficult. But when it's just black all the time, then it's quite fast going, because you don't have to change the threads, which is great. And that's why I was able to work so much on it, more than on the mini Marvellous Garden. Another project is, of course, Miranda. And Miranda got over 1600 stitches, actually almost 1700 stitches. This is closer to that number. So I'm close to finishing this page, which is great. The page finishes around here, which is great. There is still quite a lot of white, but I am filling it slowly but surely. I am filling it, so the page is getting filled all the time. I am at 67,000 stitches, something like that, so that's over 30%. Still a long way to go to 33%, which would be a third of the picture. Even more to get to 40%, where I will be cleaning the park threads, but I'm still happy with the progress I made. Even though last time I almost stitched a double of that, but I'm still happy with what I did here. I haven't overworked myself, so I don't need too much of a break from it. Just that break that I'll be going traveling will be enough, and I don't need to retire it. And because this is my main piece, this will be, I guess, the first project I will work on. So even if I won't have the time to stitch on everything, this one should get stitched on, and then there will be quite a lot of progress to see. So I'm happy with Miranda as well. And I've got a new start, because I filled all the Peppermint Purples stitch along for 2023. I decided, because I found my canvas, I've decided to start the 2021. So I started gridding. It's still not complete. As you can see, there's still thread hanging, just because I want to make sure I've counted correctly. I first started with the outline, and then I figured out I don't want to count all the threads, all the amount of stitches that I have here. This is on count 18, so those dots are quite small. So now that I've done more or less the outline, I'm doing the grids, and also for now mostly to see where this border ends. So I'm not really worried with every square or rectangle to be gridded, just to be sure that I'm having the right size. As you can see, there's a bit of an overhang here. I bought a panel like this size, and that's why it's more square than rectangular, as the pattern or the design is. So I've decided to cut this part off and have it for future projects. I am thinking of a project to check how many cross stitches I can make with one skein of thread continuously without cutting the thread, unless it would be absolutely necessary. And I know this will be a terribly long process because I will have to work with 8 meters of thread, and it's not recommended to work with, I think, more than a meter or a meter and a half, and this will be 8. I may put it in half, and I guess that would be actually the best way to do it, because then I won't have the tail in the end, because I'll use the loop method to anchor the stitch, and then just to double the amount of stitches. But I want to do it someday just to check how much thread I can use for how many stitches in different types of canvas, because then I will know a little bit better how much thread I have to buy. Mostly during when you buy a pattern, it says how many skeins you need, but it usually says in full skeins, and sometimes you have some thread of a given color and then you don't know whether you should buy more or not. So that's a project I want to do, but I don't know when I'll have the time to do it. I guess I should do research first. Maybe someone else had this idea and has already done it, and then my work would be a little bit pointless. But anyway, I will cut this part off and use it for some other project anyway, just because I don't need that much of a border with this project. So I've started 2020 Blackwork stitch along. I think you can still buy the pattern. I'm not sure really. I don't think you can access it for free anymore because it's too long ago. But if you decide to buy the pattern, consider using my Peppermint Purple Pal link that you have in the information box below the video. You will not pay anything extra for the pattern, but I will earn a little bit money to buy other patterns from her, because I really like her designs, so that would be nice. But I'll see how this 2020 Blackwork stitch along went and what it looks like. Okay, so what we have left to do is opening the package from the shop. I found most of what I wanted here, and I think with this much shopping that I did, I got extra patterns for free, but they're downloadable patterns, so I can't really show even the project that I'll be working on. Okay, so this is Sandnes Garn Double Sunday, and the color is it was something like cobalt, or oh, there is this flower that I don't remember, but I'll put a name of this flower on the screen. And this is the yarn that is recommended for a project by Kutowa Kika, Wishbone sweater. So I'll be making a sweater with it. I hope I bought enough yarn. But the second yarn, because she uses 2 yarns together, the second yarn she recommended in the pattern was Knitting for Olive, and they don't have this yarn in this shop. I think I have seen this yarn somewhere in the internet, but not here, and I've decided to buy everything here. So I've got 8 skeins of this. I hope I counted correctly. These should be the stitch markers. I was hoping not to read the paper, but I can't. Yeah, so these are the stitch markers. These are the light bulb type. So I'm hoping they will be better. And I also bought not a set, just a single one, and the color is random. So I've got green marble one. So I hope these will help with my projects. I don't know what this is. Oh, this is something I can hang on the door, on the handle from the outside, and it says do not interrupt knitting zone. Cool one. Then I think this is what I got for 1 grosz, which is something like a cent or a penny, because I bought for such an amount of money that they give you extra. And I had a choice, and I chose knitting needles, 2mm knitting needles, because other things were not really something that I could use. But I don't have thin knitting needles, especially circular ones, so I thought, oh, why not? But I also bought this kind of stitch wire, because if I'm going to knit a sweater, I'm going to have to put something like this in the arms, I'm guessing, and also possibly for just trying on around, you know, the circumference of the body itself. So I bought something like this. It wasn't really expensive, so that's nice. And the choice was between gray color and pink, and everything's better than pink, so I've got a gray one, and it's 5 meters long, so that's great. I also got cable for hopefully my knitting needles, the interchangeable ones, 150 centimeters, because I guess this is how much of a cable I will need for this sweater. And the good thing with those needles is that these buttons here can be used as stoppers for the wire. So actually when you stitch, and I did buy that specifically for knitting the body area, and the stitch wire would be mostly for arms. You can just unscrew the knitting needles, screw on those buttons, and you already have this kind of safety wire inside it. So I hope this will work well. And then instead of this knitting for olive yarn, I've got drops kid silk, because this knitting for olive yarn was silk mohair, and I decided to try and buy something like this. It is kind of an expensive yarn. I hope it will be nice to work with, although I can see that it's very thin and fuzzy, so it might not be, but we'll see. And I've got also 8 skeins of these, and they are more or less the same color, the same shade, so that's great. This one is a bit more shiny and slightly lighter, but I don't mind. This one is quite thick. I thought it would be a little bit thinner, but I don't mind. So, like I said, I'll be making a wishbone sweater by Kutowa Kika, but I will do that, I think, after I either complete the bloom between the lines fully or complete Amphirite fully, because I don't think I do well with so many projects at the same time, because every time I'm working on one of them, I'm stressed that I'm not working on the other. And while I need more than one project not to be bored all the time, when it comes to crocheting or knitting, too many projects means that I take too much time thinking about which project I should be working on and not actually working on a project. With this, I have a pretty nice system. I stitch a part of the pattern, then I knit one row of bloom between the lines. I stitch another section of the pattern, I knit another row of bloom between the lines. And after I stitch the next section, I cross stitch some. So it is a working system, and I'm not overwhelmed, but I'm also not bored. And I don't want to yet risk adding another project, which is a big project. It's not a short one that I can finish very, very quickly. Because I remember crocheting a sweater took me a few months. I don't really know how long it took me, but more than half a year, definitely. The scarf took me more than a year, although I could have done it in about 6 months if I had the yarn and if I hadn't been waiting for the correct color in the shop. But those projects take a lot of time for me, so adding a new one and a big one will be just too overwhelming. So I need to finish one of the projects first, either Amphirite or bloom between the lines. On the one hand, I would have wanted to do a crochet project after finishing this one, to sort of switch crochet to crochet and knitting to knitting, but I don't think I'll be able to wait until I finish bloom between the lines, because with this I only have 2 more repeats, I guess, with this amount of yarn. So it should get done faster than knitting between the lines, where I have to do 16 more repeats. So yeah. If you've liked the video, please click thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, to see the progress in all the things I'm making. And leave a comment down below if you want to say something. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Bye!